Hey everybody, today I'm being joined by Alex, or better known as Pokemon Collectibles from the IG Pokemon community, as well as Ramiro, aka Hobbs Coins, aka Nomad TCG. What's up, you guys?
How's it going?
What up?
All right, I'm gonna send an image to the group chat if you want to take a look at it. Um, that's a meme I saw by Pokemani. I thought it was pretty funny.
I'm down.
The OnlyFans for the cause.
That's funny.
Okay, so can I get a general idea about Champion's Path from each of you guys?
Ramiro, I think
Yeah,
you're the
I
biggest
think it's
expert
the
on this
set.
side.
I think the set is very much hype. I think that people started to realize really fast that the pull rates were not as astronomical as they would like them to be for the Charizards.
Hmm.
I think the set overall is a very, 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 very terrible set. It's either Charizard or bust, right? It's literally just
Right,
Charizard or
right. It does
bust.
seem
That's
that
it.
way.
And
Absolutely.
there is nothing else in the set outside of the promo Charizard and then the two Charizards in the set.
So you think that
So
the set itself wouldn't be as highly desirable if it wasn't for the Charizards?
if the set
Absolutely.
had no Charizards, this would be a Steam Sheet set.
Okay. All
That's
right.
what it is. It's yeah.
That's the best comparison you could possibly make.
Right. I mean, they had the promo, they had the VMAX Secret Rare, they have the regular VMAX, and they have the shiny Charizard, right?
Just there's no VMAX Charizard in this
No,
set. That's from
that's from
Darkness to
Legends of
Blaze. It's
Blaze.
just
Oh, okay,
the
okay, okay.
Rainbow and the Shiny
The
and
rainbow
the
and the shiny, I
promo.
mean. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Right. And the promo only comes in the ETB. So if you're not buying the ETB, you're already down to you know, just
Right,
play
like
the
two
lottery
cards.
at this
Yeah.
point.
Right.
Yeah, so easy bet. Just sticking with the ETB Champions Path box
Yeah.
would definitely be the best route to take instead of going for the blisters because you're guaranteed value just alone with a promo Charizard, which with time will go up in value as well.
And moving on from that, so as you guys said, you both kind of collectively agreed that if it wasn't for the Charizards, it wouldn't really be that much of a hype set.
They would
Do
be
you
the
think
yeah.
because of the Charizards, there is a growth in what we would call scalpers that would go to these like Targets and Walmarts and just buy them out completely and just resell them?
I mean, of course. I mean, if this didn't have a Charizard in it, it would be one of those sets just like Cosmic Eclipse that just sits on shelves and anybody that wants it can pick it up, right?
Right.
But the reason you don't find sets like, what is it, Shiny Legends or what's the Hidden Fates is
Hmm.
because they have chase cards, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
everything else is there.
And as far as the
Yep.
ETBs go, sorry to cut you off, but there is a promo Charizard, like you said, and you actually mentioned before about another ETB that was pretty highly desirable. Do you remember which one we were talking about that you said it has like double
Hidden Fates.
Hidden Fates,
Hidden
right?
Fates was yeah.
Oh,
It's approaching about $200 a box.
okay.
And definitely another reason why we have a lot of scalpers, especially right now.
Mm,
It's because everyone knows whoever is first with getting the cards graded and having the first listed, obviously is going to get the peak price. So
right,
everyone's going to rush, trying to crack as many open, not alone just the hyper rare Charizard or the
right.
shiny Charizard. So the reason why I think we are saying like Acer Plus and Scalpers right now, because as we all know, whoever gets the first 10, PSA 10, Black Label 10 in the market, they're going to get the highest possible amount of money they possibly can. So you have all these scalpers, just when Hidden Fates came out and the shiny Charizard,
Hmm.
they saw when the first Black Label came out and the amount that it fetched. What was it, like 8,000, 10,000? It's a pretty high amount.
10,000, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And this isn't
10,000.
something like really that new because I know in the past when we've had like I think it was Ancient Origins or maybe you
Mm-hmm.
remember that Rayquaza set? I think the
Oh, yeah.
first Gem Mint 10 that was graded by PSA sold for like a very high premium, and that often happens, like the first gem to come out, it usually goes on
Mm-hmm.
auction or it's sold privately, but for a high amount. And then we kind of see the value of that kind of
Dies
just like
down.
lower by every single gem.
Right.
Hmm. And
So
that's another reason why I think like it kind of contributes to more scalpers hitting the market because they know if they're the first ones to get it, they can be the
Mhm.
first ones to grade it, do a quick turnaround time, and make as much profit as you possibly can.
Right. So, and in general, I think these people aren't really like, obviously collectors. Maybe some are, but
yeah,
There, there's definitely a lot of people who aren't in it for the hobby itself. There's a lot of people who
right.
are in it just for the money. Um, if I could honestly say, I think I would attribute like the hobby in general to like four kind of subcategories, and that's really like the players, the collectors, the scalpers, and what was the fourth?
The investors.
The investors.
And the investors, right. So those are the four for me. And sometimes those can overlap. So you could have like a player who knows the value of certain things. So in his mind, he's gonna go buy these items early and just try to make as much money as possible. And you might have investors who might buy them all, but they might sit on them. So I think in that general sense, there is a lot of overlap, but there's been like a lot, like a big increase in that over the years. Just getting
Yeah.
back into it myself, I've seen like prices be ridiculous for these new Charizards, and as Ramiro's been sending in the group chat and mentioning before, it's that the first secret rare or the first rainbow rare or the shiny, they're up for sale on Burbank or eBay or whatever for like a couple $1,000s, and slowly they just start reducing and reducing as more are popping up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two thoughts quickly about this. One is if you're waiting at a Walmart or a Target to get these things
Hmm.
to potentially find a card and grade it and send it in, you're already losing. Okay. There's people who have this product
Hmm.
2 weeks in advance
Right.
ahead of you. Okay. So the guys who are getting these gold labels or black labels have already sent their stuff in while you're waiting at Walmart at 6 a.m. Okay. So just get that out there. Second, people from the sports community, as soon as they see this set, command such a premium, they're out there as well waiting. Okay, they're not gonna crack it. They're just gonna get it, flip it. Okay, that's all they're doing. And if you're into collectibles, whether it be Magic, sports cards, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, and you see something, worth money, you're gonna pick it up, right? It's just dumb not to. And if you find
Mm-hmm.
it, you pay your 50, you sell it for 100, and you made your profit. Okay, you don't care about it. You just want the money.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
how it's always been.
You do see that a lot.
Mm-hmm. And realistically, I feel like most people fall in within the last three categories of who's in the market right now. Because I feel like with most players, it's pretty rare when you find them collecting the hobby. Because I remember back in the day when I would go, especially when I was living in Santa Barbara County, I would go to all the local leagues, and it would be rare if you found someone like it was generally collecting them. For them, it was all about playability. But everyone right now obviously falls within collecting, scalping, if that's what you want to call it, and investing because they just go all hand in hand. The last three.
And then you
Hmm.
might have like that hidden, like not really hidden, but like that fifth category that is the kids that are buying these to collect or play or whatever. But this is something that's targeted to children. It's from like a children's anime, and like it has a toy line and everything. So we do have a surplus of adults actually going out and purchasing all these things and leaving none for, be it other collectors, investors, players that want to
Mm-hmm.
get the new set to build a deck, or the kids that are just trying to get their favorite Pokemon in the set.
Right.
Yeah. And Ramir had a good point a little bit earlier on where he said like if you're waiting in line at Walmart hoping to be the first one to get the product in the store to grade it and try to flip it, how you're already behind. It's so true. Like when you look
Hmm.
at Instagram
Yeah, you got
at like
distributors
Collector
everywhere.
Cash, like Collector's Cash, like when the card just came out, they already had the PSA 10 Hyper Rare Charizard taking
Interesting.
offers at 3,000 or best offer.
I see. Yeah.
Because like there's I don't know, I, the morality of it that can be a different topic when it
Hmm.
comes to distributors. Getting them before release date, getting them already graded, and then on release date, they already have them graded.
Right. That goes into the
But
topic of like PSA, should they be taking these cards before release date? Should these distributors be allowed to like send these in? Should they even be able to crack them open? I mean, and nobody's gonna follow the rules that aren't,
yeah,
that are. It's not something that's set in stone. It's not something that's really like set forth, I guess.
Right.
hmm
I
yeah,
think for all those things, I mean, there's something. It's things that are never gonna happen. PSA is not gonna not accept money to grade a card.
Hmm.
I think the one thing that could be possible here and it could somewhat alleviate a problem would be Walmart and Target's limiting the amount of product that can be purchased per person. I
Right.
think that's
Yeah.
probably the only thing you could do. And I know there are Walmarts and Targets that do that already.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's probably like the only thing that's plausible. I mean, the distributor needs to send out this product ahead of time so people have it. They can stock it. They can, it's that's the thing that it has a set release date. It's not like with video games. If a Target puts out a game before a set release date, they get in trouble, right? Anybody that they find with selling a game ahead
A
of release
copy,
date, they
yeah.
all get in trouble.
Hmm.
With TCGs, it's gonna be a little harder.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always going to be a conflict of interest. If you have somebody working at one of these stores or retailers, then you might just get lucky and they'll be like, hey, like we got it in already, we got it a week in advance. Do you want it? Or they might know somebody there and they might let them pick them
Hmm.
all up. If there's no really any repercussions or any disadvantage to actually not following these rules if they were set in place in the first place, then who's gonna follow them?
And then on top of that, just because like like my one of my friends was actually recently going to like his local Target and Walmart trying to find Champions Path, and what was interesting, they actually had a huge sign, just one per customer. But realistically, let's say you're working at one of those stores, how hard is it to actually enforce it? Because someone can just pick all the boxes up, go to the self checkout lane, and they're done. And realistically,
That's
what
true.
associate is going to care? No one is. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, they're selling their product. That's what they care about.
Right. And I mean there's ways around it for everybody, like I said again, you could know somebody there, you could go with like friends, you go with five friends, you walk out with five boxes, even though if the limit is one per
True.
person.
All right, yeah,
Exactly.
but you are wasting four other people's time, so it's more effort that you have to put in at
Hmm.
that point. That's the
Hmm.
thing.
But I
Um,
mean people go through like a lot of effort in order to do a lot less, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I definitely see like a trend, if you will. Charizard, he really is the trophy boy right now.
yeah.
As much as people say like, oh, Pikachu's like their golden child, and they won't evolve it in the show and everything. Charizard definitely gets a hype up. It's the most expensive card out there right now, first edition base, PSA graded or ungraded, and it's one of the most desirable Pokemon in general.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
That's really their trophy boy, and I think they know what they're doing because you feel like you see a lot more Charizards than you should. They definitely don't give a chance to like other like you don't see a Blastoise or a Venusaur if we're talking first gen, even starters.
And you know what's interesting with the starters? I feel like with all these new investors coming in, especially from sport cards or people who are just brand spanking new,
Mm,
it's interesting to see. Yeah, Charizard is the number one card, and a lot of people have started to invest like in the starters, like Bulbasaur, Squirtle,
hmm.
Charmander, and how high those prices have gone up. But it's insane how high the price have gone up on Pikachu.
Mm,
Like for me personally, I hate that card. I never liked it. But with investors, I feel like a lot of them have been focusing on two things. Obviously, Charizard, the three evolution starters, and a lot of them on Pikachu for some reason, which is kind of funny because I feel like with most collectors, I feel like most don't really care about Pikachu.
right. I mean, it's kind of especially if you're from a different hobby itself. If you're like a collector of other things like sports, you're gonna be like, oh, they like Pikachu because it's like the main mascot. So
Right.
somebody
Sure.
maybe not knowing as much about the like Ramiro said before, they some people just care about the profit or they
Mhm.
like they just go in to buy something, just flip it for like double and then call it a day. This could be kind of the same thing for them. They could be looking at it like potential investments towards the future because of what little they know about it in a sense.
hmm
Right. I
I feel
think
like
no.
no,
Go
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like in the long run, those Pikachu collectors, I feel like they're gonna burn themselves out because realistically, the high prices that they're fetching, like the first edition Pikachu, or was it which one's a rare version, the yellow or red cheeks shadowless one? I feel like eventually those high price that they're fetching, eventually it's just going to be investors just rebuying from investors, and eventually they're going to see that there really isn't that market for them for those high prices and other investors like themselves. So I feel like they're going to end up burning themselves out.
Yeah,
Right.
that's I was gonna say that Pikachu. No matter how what we think about Charizard, for people in the know, Pikachu is still the most iconic, right? Because no matter who you ask, what Pokemon is this? No matter if it's a Charizard, they're gonna say it's a Pikachu, right? For people who don't know, so people who are coming in with that mentality, I think that's why they're chasing the Pikachu because they feel
True.
it's the most iconic, the one that people recognize the most. even though it's not the case, right?
True. And then especially with those prices, like it just kind of like just amazes me how they completely missed, the Academy Pikachus. They're actually paying more for those Shadowless and first edition Pikachus. There's like an unlimited amount of them out there. When they could have spent a lot less and just bought like the limited, to 100 copies Pikachu. It's insane. But it just shows you just a lack of research that a lot of the investors aren't doing.
They're not really going to look into like Academy art. They might not know about trophy cards. As far as like we're concerned, they might not even know about the full arts, the new trophy cards for like top placers at the video game events with card
Hmm.
game events and all that stuff.
They don't even know things from like X and Y evolutions, and like a lot of these new guys that are coming in, like they're still asking like, is Steam Siege good to invest in? Is Fates Collide a really good set? Should I pick up a
Right,
box? It's really cheap. Should I get it?
right.
There's a reason it's cheap, my dude. It's
Yeah.
like no, nobody wants it. Maybe somebody will want one box in 30 years, but are you really gonna hold a box for 30 years?
They're out there.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of people that are holding on to cases from like Steam Siege or, I mean, even look at Boundaries Crossed, like from Black and White era. Black and White era has
Oh,
gone
man.
up a lot more. Maybe they're expecting the same thing will happen for like X and Y or Sun and Moon in the future.
you gotta understand that the main difference, right? You gotta look at it as in the golden, the bronze, and the silver age, right?
Hmm.
I
True.
think black and white was the bronze age of Pokemon, right? The first sets
Yep.
were the golden age, then the silver age, and then it finally died off towards the end of the black and white sets.
Hmm.
That's true.
Things newer now, like post 2014, that they're out there, but they have the chance of being reprinted. And
Yeah.
I personally don't like sealed product at all. I think
Same.
the only sealed product that has become viable nowadays has been, Shining Legends, Hidden Fates, even Burning Shadows is a good set, but again, Charizard a bust. Um, what's that other set? There's a few other sets, but they could be reprinted anytime.
Yeah, it's very true.
And
I mean, we've seen it in
True.
the past with again that Roaring
Roaring Skies
Skies.
is
Yep.
probably the most famous one.
Oh,
I
that
think
was a
Roaring Skies
nightmare.
is the one that
People did hold on
really
to
knocked
that and
people
then
off from there.
just reprint. Yeah.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, the box was approaching like $200 at the time, close.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then they just
Destroyed it.
completely crushed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people stayed away for years from sealed product. I know I did.
Hmm.
After I saw that reprint, I was like, "What's Pokemon stopping? What's stopping? Nintendo USA from just reprinting any single popular set?" So
Right.
I think that just pushed away every single collector from modern sealed product for a long time.
Right. Right. And I think the set has to be really solid for it, a reprint to not affect it. Look at, again, Shining Legends and Hidden Fates. How many times have they been reprinted? Tons. But they're killer sets no matter what. That's going to be a set that people are going to want till the end of time.
That's true.
People are not going to want, again, I hate to pick on it, but Steam Siege, no, people are not going to want it. They're just not. You can pick up a whole set for like $20.
Hmm.
Why buy the box?
Out of curiosity, where do you see Champions Path like 10 years from now? Do you think all those cards will still hold
It's
value
gonna
from
do
that?
well. It's gonna do well. Again, Charizard is driving it. Charizard is in the driver's seat, and it's just taking that whole set, taking it to Palm Springs. Every other set without a Charizard, it doesn't go anywhere, right? It runs out of gas within a month. Look at Darkness Ablaze. Even though it
Yep.
has a Charizard, it's gonna fall off really hard in about another 6-8 months once they stop printing it, and people will want it, but it's not gonna be a set I would personally want to hold more than maybe half a case or a case of, because it's just not people. Okay, another thing, everybody and their moms is thinking the same thing. I'm gonna hold all these boxes, and they're gonna be worth $200 in 5 years. But guess what? If there's 100,000 boxes out there, it's are you gonna really sell? No, you're not, because if you put it for 100, then Timmy's gonna put it for 99, and then little Tommy's gonna put it for 98, and you're just gonna race to the bottom
Hmm.
because you guys held thinking that it was gonna appreciate in value, and even though it has, in your minds, until it sells, it doesn't have a price point.
That's true.
So
So
you
what do you
can
think
hold
of
a
Darkness
thousand
Ablaze?
boxes. Yeah. If they're not selling, they're not worth it. They're not worth anything. Until you have cash in hand, they're not worth anything.
For a moment, I thought you were talking about stocks. So for Darkness Ablaze, where do you see that set going? You think
I,
it holds its value? It'll go
I
slightly up, or
think in
what are your
about
thoughts?
5 years it'll be about $150 a box.
Really? That's quite a
That long?
statement. That is quite a
I,
statement.
for Darkness Ablaze, yeah, it has a Charizard.
But
It has
150
nice
is
cards, right?
what, $60 more than retail?
Yeah, about it, right? I think it's about that. It's you get a Charizard in about one in every four boxes. I want to say it has, Salamence VMAX, which is really nice. People want it. It has that Scissor VMAX, which it's nice. It's not something that if I spend $150 a box, I'd be pissed to get. I mean,
Hmm.
I'd want the Charizard, but if I pulled it, all right, it's cool, right?
Right.
But if it's any other set, I would not spend that money because if I'm not having the chance of at least pulling the Charizard, I don't want to touch it. I'd rather just
That's
spend the
true.
$30 that whatever the Silent Mess is gonna be.
That's true.
But
That is
with the
true.
increase in popularity for holding on to stuff and hoping that it appreciates well. We've seen this stuff happen with, again, like this is completely different, but like Nintendo, early Nintendo in the X series with WotC sets. Um, but again, with things like this, there is an ample supply of people that are getting into the hobby. So you're going to have more people holding on to this stuff. And like you said, just kind of regurgitating what you said, but you're right. People are going to be holding on to this. There's going to be way more than is going to like meet the demand. There's not going to be as much
Right.
demand if everybody's holding on to it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just go on Instagram, pick whatever profile you want to,
And
anybody that
everybody
goes live
posted, yeah.
constantly and look at their background and it's just sealed product, right? Thinking it's gonna go up. They're gonna say it's $150 in 2, 3 years, right? Until you sell it, buddy, it's not worth anything. And if everybody on your friends list has 10 boxes, who's buying, right? First of all, it's you are the ones that are buying. If nobody else wants it, who's buying the $150?
No,
You know?
that's true. So after, you were mentioning, the gold, silver, the bronze era, and really like the last really collectible investments were black and white, which I completely agree with you. What do you think, because obviously, let's say like first edition sealed product, like base, jungle, fossil, gem, so on and so forth. Obviously, like the prices are just getting out of control. Even the
Mm-hmm.
black and white, I'm like, it's already getting kind of ridiculous. They're already hitting like 1,000, 2,000. So, in your opinion, if you were, let's say, if someone coming in brand new to the hobby and they want to say, hey, the budget, I have a budget. It's not high for that first edition sealed modern product. No, sorry, first edition sealed vintage product. What would you say is like the best investment right now
Okay,
in terms
first
of
of all, so if
collectible?
you're just coming in to the hobby, I wouldn't touch anything from those eras. Okay, I would specifically just buy modern specialty sets. Okay, one, you don't know the market that well. I wouldn't even look at first edition base because there's so many counterfeits. There's so many varieties to that box that if you have that money, you should buy it from a reputable seller, not from little Timmy that you found on OfferUp, right?
Hmm.
If you wanted to, if you really are just hard set on buying a vintage box, I think the best play you could do is to literally buy a legendary collection box. If I had that money, if my budget is a lot lower, I would stick to modern.
If you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thanks for watching. A thank you and kind of a goodbye from me and my friends here. You can check them out on their socials at Pokemon Collectibles for Alex, at Nomad TCG for Ramiro, and I am Diego at Bulbasaur myself. So feel free to check us all out, give us a follow, and stay in touch.
All right, thanks for joining.